Welcome back to segment 4, SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Energy Gum. Joining us on the phone is Michael Rigsby, who's the general manager of FloRacing. And also, if people like dirt, late model racing, you own DirtOnDirt.com, which was purchased by Flo. Michael, how you doing?
Wild times, man. Busy. It's as you and I have been trying to connect for a week, Jeremy, and finally the schedule allowed an hour to do it. But I'm happy to be on with you and Ryan. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on. I don't know about the Bears thing in the background. As a Dallas fan, I'm not feeling that, but you have a better owner.
Oh, there's the second worst owner in football.
Yeah. Listen. We are owned by a 95-year-old woman, right? So I don't know. I might be thrilled with, and Virginia McCaskey's a legend in the sport, but I think I might want to take ownership of the Bears here soon. I think so.
If Flo keeps going, you're going to be able to.
I don't know about that.
Which, first question out of the gate, you purchased SpeedShift, made a lot of news. Was this an ongoing thing, or did this kind of come up out of the blue? How did this whole thing work?
Both, I guess, is the weird answer to that. When Dirt on Dirt was acquired by Flo, and I was named general manager back in September, I went down to the Austin, Texas office, and Mark Floriani, the CEO of Flo and the creator of Flo, basically had me write on the whiteboard, what do you want to do, right? What is your vision as general manager? I'm trusting you, right? You're the first company we've bought. I am trusting you to lead this for me. And SpeedShift was one of the early things I put on that list, just because I very much covet Darren and Haley and Chet and Toby and all the people that have worked for them and still will work for us now. And I just thought it was very important to not only start consolidating some of these subscription platforms, but those guys particularly to me were people I was very interested in working with. And, you make early overtures to them in September, October, and nothing really everyone's busy. We're all flying around, but as we rolled into early winter, late winter, early spring, it was something that we started talking about a little bit more seriously. And it was something that once we started to put all the numbers and the logistics together, really made sense for both of us. So I would say, several months, a couple months, it took, I would say. But, with any deal, Jeremy, they can all go sideways any day, right? So you may have been talking about it for 2 months, but it only takes 2 minutes to unravel a deal. So the credit to the SpeedShift guys were fantastic the entire time, and ladies with Haley as well.
Well, we got the softball out of the way. Here come the hard ones.
All right, let's go.
I'm known for this, but no, that won't be too bad. Now, what everybody wants to know is, as far as like Dirt on Dirt is still kind of separate from Flo, kind of is almost a subsidiary. Is SpeedShift going to still be on its own, or is it going to come right under the Flo and all going to be FloRacing?
Yeah, so I can answer. That was actually an easy one that I can answer. So SpeedShift will be absorbed completely by Flo. So the 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, there are logistics to this that are not that easy, right? Like the subscription, are you on the same payment system and all this stuff you have to get lined up. But SpeedShift will eventually, I think within the next month, completely become part of Flo. Every event that SpeedShift have will be a part of that $150 a year Flo subscription. SpeedShift's website will inevitably dissolve. And we'll keep it around for a while for promotional purposes and stuff, but very soon, within the next month, everything will be under the Flo banner. The only real reason we've kept Dirt on Dirt separate is because Dirt on Dirt also had, as you can appreciate, this massive editorial following, right?
Yep.
And creative video content separate from highlights and everything. It was its own sort of New York Times-ish thing for late model racing, right? So that's why we kept it separate. But the goal is by the fall to have it all under one subscription banner. So Dirt on Dirt's website will remain, but it will be the same login bar at the top for Flo, and you'll get everything for $150 a year, all live events, everything. We'll hopefully by the fall be under one banner. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. $150 is not a lot of money for all the stuff you're going to get. That's a bargain if you ask me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. The Eldora late model events alone last year cost $200, right? The Dream and the World, and whatever those two things will be this year, you'll get for $150 plus every night of USAC Midget Week, every night of USAC Sprint Car Week. it's the growth is happening quick, right? Our expansion is really happening quick, and I'm excited about that. And then you bring in all the Dirt on Dirt content with it, and it's I'm not saying we'll be $150 10 years from now, but for the foreseeable future, we're going to be $150, right? And that's Flo's model, and I believe in it very strongly. So,
wow. Go ahead, Jeremy. I'm still trying to put my head around the 150. I think it's great because here's how I look at it. I look at the pay-per-view as how much does it cost? It costs me $30 a night to go in the pits, right?
Yeah.
So in 5 nights of going to the races, I've have a subscription paid for.
Yeah, and we've got right now it's 800 events. When you combine SpeedShift, DoD, and Flow, it's about 800 nights of live racing. We'll push, I think 2021 will push 1,000 events depending on how our rights go, and that's only live events. That's not all the editorial stuff, which again I know after Jeremy's heart, I love the writing, the written stuff, all the highlights, all the interviews, all the shows we do from the studio. That all comes as part of that. We'll eventually be part of that. We just gotta cross your T's and dot your I's. You can't just merge them all into one thing. You got to figure out how it's going to work logistically.
No, I get it. And kind of, look, this pay-per-view thing's been it's been like a free-for-all for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Was one of your goals when you went in kind of to consolidate all this, not only to give it some sense of normalcy, but also, let's face it, for the fan?
Yeah. It's become, I think there was, when I started Dirt on Dirt in 2007, there was like one other website doing some video work, right? And now, there's so many. And that consolidation is very important to me. Consolidation with the right people as well, right? And Darren and those guys are really the right people, in my opinion. So, consolidation is a big part of this, right? We have to start kind of this. I don't mean this in a crass way, but we have to kind of start knocking some of these, consolidating, getting them under one roof. Because any night you're like, what is this? Where is this at? What is this on? Yep. And I want every live event just to be on FloRacing, right? For our rights, every live event's on FloRacing. Dirt on Dirt will exist as this editorial, fun other website with schedules and results, but that's what Flow is going to be. But you'll get it all, right? Your yearly subscription will get you access to everything. It's consolidation had to happen and had to start happening. And I don't think it's done yet. And even if it's just not us, we're still looking. Trust me, I'm still trying to acquire other people. But I don't think we're done yet. And I think other people are doing the same thing we're doing.
Michael, I have a question that's very important to me, and I get ripped on about it a lot.
Okay.
The free links, they were running wild for years. It seems like they've slowed down, but I'll be honest with you, I got free links for the whole people. I didn't use them, but people sent me free links for the whole midget week.
I love my favorite thing is whenever it says, I got a free link. I did not use it. I got a free link, but I did not.
I didn't because
it's all right.
A year ago, maybe.
It's all right. I can tell you this. I have made it what's really bizarre about this is here's Flow Sports, right? This company with 300 plus employees and thousands of live broadcasts a year. The way that the free links are generated on FloRacing is something they've never seen in Flow. It's unique. It's like, well, what are they? And we know kind of how they do it, right? To a general degree, but the people at Flow were like, wow, we've never seen this before, and all of wrestling and gymnastics and all this stuff that they've been doing. So we have really made it a priority, particularly the last, call it 3 to 4 weeks, to start cracking down on that. Do I think there will inevitably always be some sort of hacked link? Yes, I do. I do think we are taking the right steps to combat it. On the Dirt on Dirt side, we'd really worked closely with Brian and Ian from Turn 2, right? And they had done a good job of sort of cementing some things and making some great things happen there. I think an awful lot of Brian and Ian. And we're adopting some of those things that we're hopefully learned at Dirt on Dirt on one side of Flow. But we are working on it. It is one of my top priorities, and it is a huge pain in the ass. Yes, all three of those things are true.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
And you mentioned Ian and Brian from the Cushion. I work with them as well, and they do a fantastic job. They actually showed me a lot of technology for the podcast we do. So definitely
two good guys. Two guys I've had a lot of respect for a long time that have helped me in enormous ways in my career. So I hopefully inevitably one day I work with those guys, right? I've always worked with them, but on a more intimate level, just because I do think a lot of them.
Now you're the late model guy. I mean, I've heard this story, and actually before I started my website, I called you because I think I think what you did with Dirt on Dirt's kind of the direction I want to go with my site as well. But you were the late model guy. You kind of have I'd say you cornered the market on that pretty well. And even though Flo had USAC before the start of this year, how important was it for you to get a bigger footprint in sprint car racing?
Me personally, or Flo Racing?
Well,
That's a good question. We knew we couldn't stop at USAC, right? And obviously, let's be clear, like, the World of Outlaws Dirt Vision will always have the rights to the World of Outlaws events.
right.
So that's something, unless some grand partnership is struck, a year or two from now or whatever.
Good luck with that.
Well, listen, I'm always open to every idea, right? I never shut the door on any idea, but listen, Brian Dunlap and those guys do a great job. I've worked with Brian for a decade. So, they're going to do their thing, but there's a lot of other sprint car things out there. I think, in my opinion, I probably undervalued the popularity of USAC. I'm an Illinois kid. Indiana's right across the border. I've known about USAC my whole life. My grandfather raced midgets. That's why we are racing people. I'm a late model guy, but he's a midget guy. I undervalued how probably big USAC was on a national level, from California to Pennsylvania to Indiana. And that's been an eye-opener and been awesome. But I also firmly believe that the All-Stars profile is arrow is up, is pointed straight up. And that deal was very important to me to get worked out. Mike Levy, who's one of our absolute best rights guys at Flo, and the guy that I've done a ton of work with, he was really spearheaded that All-Stars deal. And I was right there with him working on it on the Eldora side and everything like that. You tell me, Jeremy, it seems to me like the All-Stars profile is being raised every year now. The last couple of years, Tony's involvement has, of course, helped that, but every race is live, right? And I knew All-Stars were very important. And IRA, I don't want to forget IRA. It's a great regional tour out in the Midwest and Wisconsin, Steve Sinclair and those guys. But, what do you think about the All-Stars? To me, they are more and more popular every year.
Look, I mean, this year obviously is kind of wild. I cringe at any series right now. But, I mean, when you have Aaron Reitzel, Corey Eliason, Brock Zierfoss, Zeb Wise, good young guy, Paul McMahon's still there, you're covering all the demographics. And I think that's important. And Aaron Reitzel's not ready to go outlaw racing yet because he has a kid, and until goes to school, he isn't going to run World of Outlaws. So I think the All-Stars have a very good product, and I think they're definitely on the uptick. The best race I saw this year, actually probably the best two races I've seen this year, were on pay-per-view in the last 11 days, and they were All-Star events.
Yeah, no, that one race in Oklahoma was
Red Dirt.
I mean, Red Dirt was like, the stream at Eldora gets over, and our entire production crew is sitting there watching this All-Stars race, and it was, I mean, we were laughing. It was so good. Like,
I'm hitting my dad on the couch.
And then, who brought the yellow out? It was 2 to go. Somebody brought the yellow out. Who was it? I can't remember who it was. But we're like, no. It was hilariously good, right? And I've gotten to know Jared Fruit pretty well. Blake Anderson's a very good friend of mine. Blake is one of the best announcers in the country. I'm thrilled beyond belief with the All-Stars right now. And same thing with USAC and IRA. And here's another thing, too. One thing we've all learned during this COVID thing is the power of I don't say the power of an unsanctioned race. Listen, the World of Outlaws are always going to be the king in sprint car racing and in late model racing, Lucas and Al. But, man, you can have a lot of good unsanctioned races, right? And we found that out in late model racing. We were literally putting on late model races, basically, right? And these fields were amazing. 45 cars, Jonathan Davenport. And I think in sprint car racing, some of the same stuff can happen. Some Wednesday and Thursday night stuff that doesn't have to be tied to a sanction that I think we are interested in pursuing as we move forward, particularly in Pennsylvania, Port Royal, Lincoln, places that we have rights to, and out in the Midwest as well.
It's pretty awesome that, obviously, during the COVID, we weren't going to have racing without pay-per-view.
No.
And it was very concerning that, especially back here, we're one of the last ones to get through the whole COVID thing. And without pay-per-view racing, we would have been in big trouble back here. So kudos to you guys, and thank you.
It was a shit ton of work, right? But in a good way. Like, it was booking events on a Sunday night that were going to happen on Thursday, but who cares? There's no fans, right? So as long as it's me texting drivers all night long, would you come? And I know that SpeedShift did a similar thing at Park Jefferson, right? That was a hugely successful event. And I think you'll see more of those things happen rest of this year and into next year where, hey, Wednesday night we're running an atomic for 10,000 to win, right? Unsanctioned 410 sprint car race, that kind of stuff. And I'm excited. Why not? I mean, not everything has to be an all-stars race or a USAC race or an outlaws race, in my opinion. There is where I love an unsanctioned late model race. I love it. So I'm hoping sprint car people will buy into that a little bit too.
As long as you get the stars, you'll be fine. Sprint car racing just depends on stars. It's you guys have so many in late model racing.
Yeah.
And I think the late model model, so to speak, sprint car racing could definitely learn from it. But, Flo, I know Flo. I first knew about Flo through wrestling. I covered high school wrestling. I covered college wrestling. And how close is Flo Racing from a reach standpoint, is it to wrestling? And is that the idea? Hey, we want to almost like have a second huge thing.
I'm going to say two things. First, the people at Flow Wrestling I love the Flow Wrestling people. They are awesome. They've taken us under their wing as the racing, as the new kids. So they're some of the best. Secondly, we're coming for them. And I don't think, and I mean that like in inner company excited competition, we're close. We're getting there. Our reach we're growing at a very rapid rate, and we're coming for them. And that was my goal. I told Mark, I wrote on the whiteboard, bigger than Flow Wrestling. I want to be bigger than Flow Wrestling, right? And the wrestling people, listen, we all have stake in Flow. I've been watching some wrestling stuff, and I want those guys to keep growing too, but I'm coming for them. We want to, my entire racing team, our racing organization wants to be the biggest vertical at Flow, and I believe we're on the way to doing that.
Ryan watches wrestling. Spencer Lee, baby, Iowa. There's nobody better in the country than Spencer Lee.
Yeah. It's the wrestling is what we found is the crossovers a lot.
There's a lot of crossovers.
Yeah, and it's think about it, right? Iowa, not crazy at all. Well, of course, there's tons of late model and sprint car fans now. Pennsylvania, tons. Yeah. I mean, they're into some of that Appalachian area where there's tons of it is a lot more hey, I watched a wrestling event, now I'm going to watch a race. And I didn't expect that. And that's another thing I've learned in my short time here.
Ohio's a hotbed for both.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
right.
It's there is a lot of crossover. I know in the fall, we get to talk a lot about wrestling and a lot about racing. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, well, it's listen, if you want to come on and do some Flow Wrestling stuff with us sometime, we can do a whole crossover show, racing, wrestling, everything. So it's and I don't know much about jiu-jitsu, but I'm learning also, because that's another one of our big verticals is Brazilian jiu-jitsu is huge at Flow. So
wow.
You guys had some problems with broadcasting at first.
Mm-hmm.
Just some hiccups, new to the game, so to speak. What do you guys? I've seen improvement. I know last year I saw some stuff and it wasn't as good as what I've seen this year. What do you guys need to improve on moving forward from a product standpoint?
It's a good question with several answers depending on what the actual question is. And I agree. We have come a long way. And I think part of that was, our brand at Dirt on Dirt was very strong and very well respected. And what we had done there, we weren't NBC Sports for the Olympics, but we were damn solid every time we turned the cameras on. And we have instilled a lot of that, and the Flow people have bought in completely. And the USAC people the USAC sort of retooled their production package on their own, and it's been good this year. The All-Star stuff is pretty much the VOD folks have just taken it over and are producing it. And I know that's been part of it. The question always begs, let me ask you. Okay, I'm asking you again. I'm putting you on the spot.
I don't care.
What do you want to see from – take an All-Stars race, right? Not every All-Stars race financially can be a 5-camera shoot. Are you content with one great up-top cameraman, a couple of speed shots, timing and scoring? Is that enough for you?
Yeah, well, yeah. And I think and Ryan can chime in too. For me, that's fine. I want picture quality. I care about sound quality. I care about things like that. Master that, then walk to the next thing. It's no different than my site. And I'm sure when you were at Dirt on Dirt, master something, then move on to the next thing. And the only other thing you could add is, and I should probably, Ian will probably kill me, but him and I have been talking about doing some stuff within the downtime. There's so much downtime during the race. Doing some downtime there. The other thing is, I would like, now I know he'll kill me, I want to see some programming during the week. I know, just regular, like my website, I do a podcast. I purchased the Ohio podcast. It just keeps it rolling every day.
Yeah.
But
that was important to me at DoD, right? Our content through the week is nonstop, and we're starting to implement that at FloRacing now. But I'm with you. To me, it was like when I kind of got the flow, I'm like, let's not try to orchestrate a 12 camera World 100 shoot on every All-Stars event. Good announcer audio, good up top cameraman, Jeff Converse, Steve Gigas, people like that. A great up top cameraman, a couple of nice speed shots so you can catch a replay in the corner and make sure your graphics are good. And for the most part, that's enough. But to answer your question, it's mastering that and then stepping up to that next level, in my opinion, where it's, okay, the Tuscarora 50 at Port Royal, that needs to be a better broadcast. That needs to have a ground camera. That needs to have a pit reporter. And that's why I'm so excited about having Haley Shanley, because she is going to be able to pit report for us for a ton. And I really want to make her the face of FloRacing. She does an incredible job, and I want to make her the face of Flow. And I just levels, one level at a time, right? I want my whole thing at DoD to tear it all down, evaluate the pieces we've got, and slowly start rebuilding it correctly. So that's what I want to do, and that's what I want to keep doing with the help of the people at Flow.
What do you think, Ryan?
One thing that I always enjoyed, even like, I know the Cup broadcasts are longer, but a lot of times they went into technical stuff, and even like the older school. When I say technical stuff, like explaining to first-time viewers why the right rear is bigger than the left rear, stuff like that. Wings, why the wings move.
What's tough it's tough to me is like if you're watching an all-star sprint car race on Flow, you are likely not a first-time viewer, right? And I am torn on that, because to me, I built Dirt on Dirt. I didn't care about a first-time viewer, and that may sound bad. This was for the hardcore. This was for the person that ate, slept, breathed, drank dirt late model racing. And that's what Flow's a little different, right? Because you might have a wrestling fan or a jiu-jitsu fan, brother and over. So I agree, Ryan, you're right about that. But I also don't want a broadcast where you're listening to it and someone's like, these dirt late model cars are going around and around, and here is a motor. To me, that's like disingenuous to the audience. I want Blake Anderson telling me about cool shit. You know what I mean? That's what I want. And so you're right on one hand, Ryan, but on the other hand, I don't want somebody going, yeah, I know what a sprint car shock is. I don't need to see this, right? There's a line there, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I'm thinking for like your late model guy who doesn't maybe watch sprint car racing as much, hey, they may not know that the wing moves, that's the only control the driver has in the car,
That's fair.
Stuff like that.
That's fair.
Yeah. Since Ryan's a former crew chief, I think he just wants a job.
Oh. No.
I will.
I don't think I have a face for anything, Jeremy.
No, well,
this is as far as it goes.
Ryan, I'm taking your name down now, Ryan, and we will do our best to. I'll add your list to the resume list. Right?
Perfect.
It's pretty good. He was with Greg Hodnett. That's pretty good. Hey, last question. We'll get you out of here. Again, thank you for coming on the show. You have USAC. You have the All-Stars. You have Port Royal and Lincoln in the East. You have a bunch of stuff now out west, 800 broadcasts, maybe 1,000 next year. Where do you see this going from a 3 to 5 year plan? Because let's face it, if you're not a business looking that far down the road, you're failing. And I know you just from talking to you, you're already looking. So 3 to 5 years, where do you see Flow being?
Well, I think a lot of people assume, well, Michael's a dirt late model guy, USAC and the All-Stars are dirt sprint car series. Well, they're just going to there's a whole big asphalt world out there, right? And from short track asphalt racing to drag racing to all sorts of other things. So I think somebody said to me yesterday, well, you're out of dirt series. There's nowhere to go. This is it, right? You'll never get any bigger than this. But I think there's a lot of places we can go. Again, and there's already companies servicing, like Speed 51 does a ton of asphalt late model stuff. And I'm blanking on the name. There's a drag racing website too. Forgive me. But do we try to talk to those companies about working out relationships and things like that? So I think there's a whole other segment, and I don't think there's a ton of take drag racing crossover and dirt late model crossover. I don't think those fan bases are that similar. So to me, you're looking for those new fans, right? And there's those areas that we can go to, and there are plenty of other guys like me who have started websites and companies in dirt track racing that I want to talk to. Maybe they want to do their own thing and they don't want to be a part of a bigger organization. But if they do, I want to speak to them. That's my job now, is going after these people and talking to them. And I think Darren Shanley would tell you, I didn't want to compete with SpeedShift. I wanted SpeedShift to be a part of our team and make sure they were rewarded for all the work they'd done over the years. That was very important to me. I did not want to compete with them. I wanted to. Now there are certain people that piss me off that I do want to compete with.
Oh, geez.
But Darren was not one of them, right? And for the most part, I'm not that kind of competitive guy. I'm a guy that's like, we're better if we're working together than if we're working apart, right? And so that's. I don't know what the next 3 years brings, but the next 6 months, man, we're looking hard. We are talking to a lot of people right now. I know that.
Michael, I have one last question here. Last Saturday, we had our first live major TV show with Dirt Sprint Car Racing.
Sure.
How is that going to affect, if that gets a little bit bigger? How's that going to affect the pay-per-view?
I didn't see it, so I don't know. I didn't
either.
At night, I don't know what I do have it recorded. For again, credit to the guys at World Racing Group for pulling that off. Right, that is not easy to get shit on TV. Yeah. It's not easy. So Brian, Ben, and all those guys, credit to them. I haven't seen it yet, for one, but listen, the World Finals were on live TV. Was it 10 years ago? The World Finals were on live TV, I think, on Speed. If I remember right, it's been 10 years. TNN broadcast in the 90s and all that stuff. I don't know that there's a single person out there, and it's weird because I'm a TV guy. I'm a traditional TV guy. Like, I am not a cord cutter. I want my direct TV. I love my guide. I don't want to have to log into an app all the time to watch my television. But I think I'm in the minority. I don't know that there's a single human being out there that would say, what the future of the world is television. You know what I mean? In that way. To answer your question, Ryan, I don't think, as far as the streaming world goes, I think it will truly have no impact. If they want to put some shows on TV simultaneously, I think that's cool for folks that are still TV people like me. But these things right here, man, I mean, this is where everybody's doing everything right now. And I just don't see any scenario where that's going to become more and more prevalent as we move on. So TV stuff is cool. Credit to Lucas and World Racing Group for doing it. It's not an easy lift. They deserve credit for that. But I don't think it has any impact on us. I really don't. I
know, to piggyback that from my standpoint, I was at Lincoln Speedway covering an event, checking out pay-per-view, because I need the notes and everything that I do. I need to see those things, and it's just easier for me to plop it on my phone. And not that I'm the most technologically savvy guy in the world, but if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Well, that's one cool thing about Flow too, is our apps are so easy to use. And that's one thing we never had in Dirt on Dirt. We didn't have the resources to totally invest. Our apps are just boop, pop it up and it's on. Roku, Apple TV, all that stuff with Flow is. That was one of the reasons I ended up selling the company, because I'm just looking at them like, look at all these resources that they've got, that are just so cool. So, but it's weird. I'm such a TV guy. Everyone's like, Rigsby, did you cancel your cable bill? I'm like, I have a $300 a month direct TV bill. I'm that guy, because I want my guide, and I'm like my 67-year-old father in that way, right? I want my TV. So
Amazon Fire Stick, baby. It doesn't get any better.
And you're hipper than me, Jeremy. You are hipper than me when it comes to television.
Our producer Kalita hooked it up for me. I have both TVs on Fire Stick, and it's only costing me $110 a month, and I get everything.
There you go. See, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to television. So.
Well, Michael, I'm going to thank you for coming. We keep you on for an hour. I don't want to do that to you, but I'm sure you got work to do. You got to watch your broadcast. So, again, thank you for coming on the show. And Rhino will be expecting a call from you when you wrote down his information. and
oh boy,
make sure his criminal record checks out first, right?
Yeah, you'll be fine with that.
There's no. I want to make sure there's no discrepancies there.
Michael, again, thank you for coming on. Congratulations on the acquisition of SpeedShift, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Jeremy.
Yep, take care.